Wow. What a way to kick off Super Bowl Sunday, right, guys?
Absolutely.
I got my sidekick here, Jamie, former football coach like myself. And we got Rich in the house now, man, a late football player we just called up off the draft. And boom, he's here already, rocking out with us. Awesome. So, hey, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on this show. I mean, we're all pumped up for the game coming up soon, and I just want to have a good pregame talk about how recruiting and staffing is just like coaching football, right, guys?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so almost mimicked each other. So, we're just going to deep dive into it now and start with the coach's corner here. So, I'm just going to give you a bit of my perspective on it, and then you guys can jump in here and we can have a good conversation.
Sure.
I'm thinking, you know what, when you reach out to a candidate, what do? I mean, you're coaching, right? You know, you reach out to them, you talk to them on the phone, just like you're getting a draft choice, right? I mean, or somebody off waivers or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And then what do? I mean, basically, when you talk to them, we're the head coach, they're the player. And I believe this totally. And then when you get them a job, what happens? You know what? Together we win. So without the coach and without the player, when you get hired, I call that touchdown. I mean, that's wraps it up in one. So, Jamie, give me some of your intake on all this good stuff.
Yeah, no, Rich. You're 100% correct on that, right? So, especially in the staff augmentation business and in the staffing industry, you're really working with that candidate to help them understand the lay of the land with the client that you're working with, you've got a relationship with. So that's like your scouting report, right? I've looked at this company that I'm competing against, really we're competing with, but in the football analogy, I'm competing against. So I learn how that manager's interview style is. I learn the culture of the company. I learn where the advancement opportunities are. I learn the organization chart, right? So I got a scouting report of exactly what goes on in that company. And then I'm able to convey that to my candidate to give them that good information. Now, what really kind of changes things is, and we were just kind of talking about this before, is that candidate willing to receive and take coaching or not? That's really the differentiator in this whole process.
You're right. So, Rich, you want to chime in there and give us your coach's expertise?
No, I think you guys are spot on, man. I mean, that is it's a great analogy. It's if the candidates have this golden path to score. If they actually can, listen to the recruiter, if you did a good job as a recruiter, your job order, just like the coach did a great job, like building out his playbook and knows how to prepare for that game, you can set your candidates up for such success and give them a great advantage through the interview process. It's a perfect analogy. Actually, I never thought about it until we did the show, but it is.
And so it's so true, guys, that actually, we blame a lot of, not me or us, but other people in the industry that candidate didn't show up for work. Why not? It all goes into the locker room and the boardroom, right? Prepping that candidate, making sure they're ready. I mean, what we did maybe was fumble the ball, right? So you don't point fingers at anybody. You say, what did I do wrong? And I think that's a big thing. And, in football and everything, we keep everybody accountable every week, right? It's the same thing. I think recruiters and staffing people need to be accountable too, just like the candidate.
Absolutely.
Listen, people are going to do what's in their best interest, but man, you can really set them up and you can get them most of the way there. Just like, you draw the plays up, they got to execute, but it's never just the candidate's fault unless they just completely don't show for an interview, don't show for the job, which is epidemic during this pandemic, quite frankly.
Exactly. And then if we jump into like the going after clients, if you're in the business development field or consulting, I hate to say sales, I mean, it's almost the same way. It's like you're on defense and you're doing like blitzes and you're doing an audible and, you got to know what is a good fit for that company. So I think we tie that into football again, where you have to use that strategy of the X and O's on your chalkboard, your whiteboard, of why you didn't get that candidate. Why isn't that candidate responding to you? you have to wonder why. And that's why you have to pre-plan ahead, I think, guys. If you want to elaborate on that, I think that's the big thing is, and I've seen on social media, I mean, Rich talked about this, so many people just call companies up, can I get you some bodies or staffing? That's not the way it is. Get 10 companies, do some research on them, and then, and then work it. And then when you talk to them, you know what they're asking for. And then you know what? The whole thing is to win together. I think that's the biggest thing. We got to work as a team. Once, as we talk about football all the time, it's team effort here. HR and hiring managers of companies that we work with are not our enemies, people. They are our friends. They're part of our team.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to build the whole, it's all part of the staff. You got to have your inside sales guy. You got to have your internal recruiters work with you nowadays, your HR folks. And, when you're calling into these companies, you got to have a plan. If you just call in and say, hey, use me, well, why the hell's the coach going to use you? What makes you so special?
That's right. It's like, put me in as quarterback. We haven't thrown a ball your whole life. What about you?
Right? I have no idea who you are, no idea what you can do, but show what the hell.
Right.
here's a key role. Go for it.
Just jump in.
Jim, you got any insight on that, on the candidate experience? I mean, the client experience.
Absolutely. So I in my role, I actually have a split desk. So I recruit and I do some biz dev work as well. And I mean, you guys are spot on. Like at the end of the day, and you do actually, it's funny because you have some coaching aspect with your client too. And I think that's kind of the differentiator, right? Like if I'm just another butts in seat recruiter where I'm just throwing resumes at you to see what sticks, then there really is no value that I add. I'm just another guy. But if I can really coach you up, sometimes like, and Rich, both of you guys, I know you've seen this. Sometimes your client will come to you and give you a job order and you're going, well, you guys just copied this right out of Monster. How about we work on helping you to create a job posting on your side that's compelling, that people actually want to interview for? So I might help you in a manner that might seem like it's cutting my pocket because I'm helping you to get better at recruiting, but really I'm adding value so that when you have those jobs, I'm the first person that you're going to think of. Like that's really my goal in staffing. I don't want to fill every job in the world, but every time you have a job, I want you to think of me first.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. I mean, and you know what's funny, what you said there, it's so true because a lot of people in our industry, and you guys will agree on this, they rush everything. It's throw things against the board. And I've worked for the big staffing firms where they're like, Richard, you cannot talk for 10 minutes to a candidate. We got 5 minutes in and out. Well, you know what? You got to build a relationship with that person. It's not just putting people out there like cattle. I mean, and that's tying into football again. You want to put the best 11 people out there to work, just like on the field, right? And I think that every given time, every day, 11 new people that are rock stars. And if you build that, you're going to have like a dream Hall of Fame staffing team,
Right. Rich, I think with the social media era that we live in, and I heard this a long time ago, and I really it really resonated with me. You can drown in an inch of water, right? So we spend so much time amassing friends and amassing likes and amassing clicks and comments. But the old school way of really getting deep in a relationship, like when you have it working with a hiring manager, like I should know where your kids go to school. I should know your dog's name. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things so that I'm really building a trusted relationship with you where we're partners. Like I don't want to, that consultative mode, we shouldn't be sitting on opposite sides of the table trying to battle each other. We should be sitting on the same side of the table going, okay, you have a problem that I can help you. I have expertise in. How can we help you fix your problem? Mm-hmm. But when you never really build that relationship, it's like,
you know what? I think, like you said, so many of these recruiters just rush through it, everything, and they don't get to know anyone. And I mean, I always tell, when I talk to recruiters and stuff, I always tell them, listen, I mean, your client's paying you today, your candidate's paying you tomorrow. I mean, this guy's going to grow to a hiring manager. I mean, I was talking to Rich earlier. I just ran this whole, football grid to raise money for a foundation for your kid. I mean, half of the squares, I mean, sold out in 48 hours, which usually squares were a giant pain in the ass. So 48 hours I thought was pretty good last minute for the Super Bowl. But half of those squares came from clients and candidates of mine.
Awesome.
which is I thought was pretty fantastic personally.
Yep.
I mean, these are people I've talked to over the years, and some I just met, but they wanted to step up and do a nice thing, and
that's awesome, man.
All because of building rapport and relationships.
That's it. It's awesome. I'll echo that, Rich. I actually this week, I had a situation that you guys, as recruiters, how this situation goes. I ended up with a double submittal, right? So we had a guy talking to him, having a conversation. We're going through, like we talked about, I'm prepping him for the interview process. This is what's going to happen. And I said, hey, just making sure, right? Just checking in. But has any other company submitted you to this company? Oh, no, Jamie, you're the only recruiter that we're working with. So as we get into the process, we go to submit him into the vendor system, and he's already in there. And he's already, not only is he in there, but he's already hired. So he interviews and gets hired. Right now, Jamie, as a recruiter at age 22, I call this guy and I read him the riot act and I blow him out of the water. Right at age 44, you know what I know? 5 years. If I believed he was a good enough candidate for this job, he's a sharp candidate. 5 years from now, that guy will probably be a hiring manager there. So why would I, kick him in the rear end and blow the whole relationship? I called him. I congratulated him on the job. We talked about it, and I explained to him how the situation can happen with a double submittal, where usually if a company gets your name from two companies, they'll just blow you out as a candidate.
Yes.
So I prefaced it as, I'm working with you to add value to you because I don't want you to lose out on opportunities you could have in the future, because you're a pretty sharp guy. I think you just didn't know that could happen. And he was, eyes wide open. He's like, no, I didn't realize that could happen. Thank you for letting me know. So now I've got an ally instead of an enemy. You know what I mean?
And they'll use you.
Amy? Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. He'll use you when you need to fill the role. I mean, it happens, unfortunately, and you hope the company itself is being above board and it was a true accident. And
right.
at least they're paying someone, quite frankly.
Right.
But
Exactly.
you hope it's you. But it's, the end of the day is you got to look at the long-term relationship. And, you look like, Belichick and Brady lasted for a long time, which is unheard of in today's market. And like to your point, most recruiters are just like, no, F you, I need this fee. And I'm like, you do, but, win the war, not the battle sometimes. And it's hard.
That's it.
But, it does happen. And you should know your client well enough if they're BSing you or not. We've all got our war stories in this situation.
Yes. Exactly. And what's nice is to tie into that is basically, see that candidate didn't get the job. And I see this happen all the time. Too many recruiters don't even call them and say, you never got the job. They're scared to say,
yeah.
I get up there and I say, okay, you didn't get the job. And before they even say anything, here's the reasons why, this, and this. But before you even say anything else, I'm working for you for the next opportunity. You know what I mean? Hope. Yeah. We got to give hope, and try to win the game. And I have so many candidates that say, yeah, I submitted for that job. They said to call me back in 2 weeks. No call at all. And I think that's a big thing that we are lacking in our industry is follow-up. What do you guys think of that?
I 100%. I mean, honestly, I tell candidates, listen, I need to hear from you. I mean, I tell them if I don't hear from them after an interview, I'm going to assume they're not interested, number one. I don't care if you're a CRO, VP of sales or whatever. You always have to get back to me send me a text while you're on the can. It doesn't really matter. And if they're not getting back to me, listen, I don't have a huge urgency to get back to them, to be honest with you. But I do. I mean, I'll shoot everyone at least an email because I personally don't like to be left hanging. And, clearly it's not that big a deal to this guys if they didn't get back to you anyway, in my opinion. Especially I deal with sales guys. So software sales guys know better than to not follow up.
Right.
So it's a bit of a test of how interested are they really. And that's all part of the prep too. But but one way or the other, I'm going to close that on my side, and make sure they know, hey, this is what happened. This is what they're thinking. And, just let's learn for the next one so we can better prepare and have you better, educated, quite frankly.
And you're right, because you know what I always say? You didn't get hired yet. So that you never scored a touchdown. You got close. You're on the goal line. Yeah. So don't say well, I thought I was going to get hired till they actually give you the paperwork for me and you to sign.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the goal line. So move to another position. We'll just pull it audible and we'll try something new. And I think that's a big thing we have to do in our industry is give hope to people and build them up.
Well, you figure chances are they were good enough to get to the finish line or thereabouts to the the final the 1 yard line. Chances are they're good enough for another company as well.
Exactly.
Right.
And you always have to have the long game in mind for this job. Looking at these guys that are coming in, just looking at hey, this is an instant deal, once and forget it. I mean, you're not going to build a lot of money doing that. You get lucky once in a while.
Jamie knows my motto: giving equals growth. So don't chase the money, chase the candidate and the client, and the money will come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And to the point that you're making, Rich, I think it's there's been kind of a knowledge loss for this generation of recruiters from the previous two generations. And I give an example, like I grew up old school in a big shop like Rich did, right? So one of the ways that we learned to market candidates was if I have a candidate and I have companies that I'm working with that all kind of fit a similar profile, if that guy, like you said, if that person is a fit for one job, he's a fit for another. So proactively, I might say, hey, Mr. Manager over here at company B, I know you don't necessarily have a need, but I know I'm always looking for you. I'm always working for you. And I found this candidate who could be a great fit for you. You mind if I send it over to you just to take a look? Like I said, I know you don't have anything recs necessarily open right now, but this is the type of people we come across and have that's been able to open so many doors. Like I find myself wondering, like, how are people generating like business? Are they just going on Indeed and pulling up jobs and going, oh, good job. Now I'm going to call in this company and just bang my head against this wall.
So Jamie, are you sending that person? You're sending the full resume, or to an existing candidate, a client, or a past or new client, or trying to land?
Both.
See, I would never send you, but you're sending the full resume, just so I understand you.
Without the name, without the
redacted, just the profile, like candidate
has done A, B, and C. Like an NPC,
like player A, player A, player B.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah,
like a Madden player who doesn't.
Yeah. Because I love it. Some of these guys online, they're like I sent a resume to a client and they didn't pay me for him, and I'm like, why would they? They don't have a contract,
Right.
No, and I've had it happen before with recruiters I used to train. They send the whole resume with the email and everything. I'm like, you just gave them a Merry Christmas.
Right.
I mean,
thanks.
Thanks for the pot of gold. I appreciate it.
Right. Thanks for the free cookies, bud.
Yeah. No, I mean,
what do you think of the automation stuff going on now? I know we're all that grassroots, plugging and playing with our candidates. All this automation technology now, it's like so robust where we don't even have to talk to a candidate, which all three of us, we probably totally disagree with this because it's that human connection still at the end of the day. But give me your thoughts on some of this new stuff that's coming out here.
Yeah.
Rich, I'm probably I'm on this topic, I'm probably opposite of the way that you think I'm going to go. I love it, but I think it's in moderation. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to lose contact with my candidates.
You stay on the phone still. You're not eliminating the phone, and that's where everyone's doing with it. They're eliminating the phone. Exactly.
Dialing for dollars, baby.
Yeah.
This thing is on my hip all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But at the same time, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want more interaction with my candidate. I always want to be top of mind. So I'm a big student of marketing. So like if I can put, a campaign out and then maybe there's a retargeting ad where it's like, hey, you saw me over here on Facebook. Why don't you go ahead and follow me on Instagram? Or why don't you go ahead and, hey, I put this YouTube video that's the top 10 questions candidates have before interviewing for a job, and just continue to add that value, right? We know as we're not sales guys, but we're sales guys, right? So 7 touches minimum to make a sale. It's the same thing for building that relationship with that candidate. Yes. I might put something out there in an email that a candidate emails me back and I'm like, Jamie, you know what? It's crazy. I was just thinking about this question. Thanks for adding it. And so now we've got an interaction going where I've got more reasons to touch that person, right? But then it's also that old school touch. I still will write out a good old fashioned thank you letter and drop it in the mail. People still like getting getting real mail. They don't like getting the window envelopes.
Speaking of the automation, there's a company, I don't know if it's called Thank You or something, where it looks like a handwritten note. I've had a guy send it to me. It's fantastic though. It's saying they send a real handwritten, even though it's computer handwriting it.
Yes.
It's automated, looks real. You would never know the difference. And you're right. You get a real piece of mail and you're like, well, you remember.
Absolutely.
It's but I agree. The automation to me, it's like I'm a one man band too. I know Rich, you are too. I know Jamie, if you're a one man band as well, I got a.
I work at a huge company.
Oh, you're in a big company.
No, there's 5 of us.
Oh, there you go.
Monster.
I have a 20-hour week, admin. Where I send her who I'm doing my research for, use one tab, and I send her the links. I'm like, put these in there, find the phone numbers, and then that will then trigger. She puts in my database, that triggers my automation, my Outplay campaign manager, and that does the whole campaign sequence rolling. And then it can actually set up do phone drops if you wanted to, and I don't use it for that, but you can. LinkedIn remind you to LinkedIn, do all the other crap you've got to do, but. The fact that literally for the next 2 weeks, if you're on my list, the next 2-3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, depending on what's going on, you're getting hit up, every other day, every 3 days, every 5 days, whatever, either call, email, or text or something. And there's, certain candidates we all know there's candidates put on your list that are, A pluses you're going to target 24/7. And there's other ones that, hey, listen, if this guy talks, he could be good. So we'll keep him warm and keep the interaction going
on the practice squad, right?
They can move up until but this guy, certain guys on paper, are killers. But yeah, I think too many recruiters are looking to do too much marketing. Like nothing against like Joe Mullins. I mean, he's built a great business. But he also spends way more than the average recruiting firm ever makes on the amount of marketing he does. So I mean, I have no idea what his numbers are, his profits are, or whatever. He runs a great business, does a great job for his style. To me, I would go nuts doing that much marketing, like real physical marketing. I like just being on the phone, cold calling, dialing, emailing, texting.
You're right.
And, I still got it probably as much or more, more done.
And some of the things about like social media we talked about, like if you guys see some of the stuff I do personal videos. And I don't even talk about jobs. It's just about content, about feeling inspiration, happiness, stuff like that, so you can resonate with your audience to build, because everybody out there is going to be looking for a job sooner or later. I mean, we have to face it, right? Or they're unhappy where they're at, and they just got forced to take a job because in these times, it's like, hey, I need to take it to survive. So I think every person that looks at your stuff is a possible candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Rich, and real quick, guys, and this is it's a side note, but it's connected to what we're talking about. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. If you connect with candidates on Facebook, I use Facebook Messenger a ton. But here's what I do to differentiate myself. Facebook Messenger has a feature where you can send an audio message. So rather than just typing something out and let's just basically texting on Facebook, I'll send an audio message, as we're having that conversation, I'll have the conversation on audio. And then what invariably happens, then the candidate or person figures out how to do it. So then we're having an actual real conversation. They're hearing your voice. People start to develop that trust of hearing, once that you actually talk to them on the phone, it's like, oh, I feel like I've talked to you a million times. Well, you have.
Yeah.
It was just so on a such a subconscious level, you didn't even realize what was happening. So just something.
I bet people do that and just hit the call button on Facebook and then just pop on the phone.
Yep.
I mean, even on every so often, like Rich doing the videos, like every so often I'll do a Loom video or an InVideo thing. You watch AppSumo, you get all these great tech deals on AppSumo.
Right.
But you can set a quick video. It's a little different. I get a lot of crap from my background saying it's not the best background, but I'm like, you know what? If that's what they're focused on,
it worked for you, man. Right. It's all good, right?
If that's what they're focused on, the message isn't probably that good anyway. So
right, and it's authenticity, right? Like at the end of the day, like we're all like the pandemic didn't happen to one of us; it's happening to all of us. So we've all got adjustments and things that we got to make. I got I got cats running around in the background sometimes. I got, I mean, like it is what it is. Like
it's like, and honestly, I just find, I mean, I tell all these candidates too, I'm like, and clients, I'm like, I don't work for assholes. So if this is what's going to bother them, you probably don't want to work for them. It's life. It happens. We're all working from home. Who cares? People get too hung up on all these little things that go on in life. It's like,
exactly.
You're going to work for. I mean, do you want to work for someone who's not like that? And do you want to work with the candidate? As a recruiter, I don't want to work with candidates or clients that, are prima donnas, quite frankly. Right. It's life. You deal with it. You roll through it. And, maybe I'm not for everyone when I say those things, but that's okay too.
No, you're being real. And that's how it is. And even with our candidates, when we talk to them on the phone, like, hey, if they come on and have a sweatshirt and they're drinking coffee or milk or having their breakfast, hey, that's okay. You don't have to be there and stiff. I tell them right off the bat, I'm not going to give you a script and go, what are you going to do in the next 3 to 5 years? Because hell, I don't even know what I'm doing the next 3 to 5 days, right? I mean, with this, the way things are crazy. It's just like, we just want to break them down and they're part of us. And I think that's the biggest thing we have to do is realize is candidates, without you, we don't have a job. So we're all equal at the end. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Like you and I, Rich, were talking earlier. It's like, I have real conversations with people. I talk about politics. I talk about religion. I talk about all sorts of things you talk about by most people. But you know what? One, they always remember the conversation. Two, they're hot button subjects. And you know what? It's good to know if this guy's going to get triggered and set off. And yes. Most people tell you, they're like, you know what, I'm really happy we talked about it, because you know what, they all have it bottled up, especially over this past year, whether you're for or against whoever, really made no difference. But it's just, how do you handle it? Can you have a real conversation? Mm-hmm. And, people want to hire real people. And there's plenty of candidates that get jobs. Even like my average job is like $150,000 salary. There's plenty of people get these jobs because they're real, not because they had this amazing track record or resume sometimes. And they go on to have phenomenal careers. But you had to have the right player, the right coach, for instance, for the whole theme. Right. But it really comes down to it. Some guys just don't thrive in certain situations. And
you're right.
For sales guys, the numbers are like 80% of the average. 80% of the sales world is either just not good or selling the wrong product, or for the wrong people.
Well, you have to be into it. I always say, if you're going to sell something or whatever company, you have to have passion for it. If you're just doing it for the salary and the paycheck, you're going to fumble and probably lose out. You got to have passion and believe in what you're selling, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's pretty crazy here. But one other thing I want to talk about before we get into the football talk is. Mm-hmm. What do you see with the future here with candidates and stuff like that? I see a lot of referrals going on now. What do you guys see in the next 6 months that's going to happen? Any predictions out there for this?
I got to tell you, I mean, I think it is so busy now. I know personally, I'm pretty jammed up. I've got so many job orders coming into me. The market is super hot, in our sector, and candidates. The hardest thing in this market right now, I think candidates are still scared about making moves. Mm-hmm. They're really nervous. They're second guessing everything. They really need a reason to make a jump. And I can tell you, I personally have had more people back out of offers, take counter offers in the last 4 months than I've had in the last 10 years combined. It's been crazy. So I literally, I was on my story on Facebook. I literally did a wellness check on a guy. I had a police go visit his house, and I'm like, dude, this is life. And he thanked me for it, though. He was like, hey, listen, you really know this isn't my MO. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, he told me all these things that had happened in his life in the last, since he accepted it to today, was like a whirlwind of shitstorms. He's like, he couldn't. He didn't get a counter, didn't do anything. Literally couldn't take the job, left a $40,000 increase, a 25% base pay increase, on the table.
Wow.
Felt bad for him, but it was just overwhelming change, the pandemic, all these 3 major life events that just happened the last 7 days, essentially. So, that's the market right now. Candidates are scared. you know.
You're right. And you know what I see now, a lot of things are going on is like the assessments now. I think sometimes these assessments are now to the forefront for companies for the mental health and everything to see if they're actual fit. I mean, this is something I see a lot of companies now are saying, I need to get an assessment on this person. You know, the resume looks great, but let's see behind the story because these assessments are right on. Are you guys seeing that on your side?
Only with a couple of PE firms that do it. And I think they're absolute disaster.
Really?
Oh my God, absolute disaster. I mean, again, sales guys are different. Sales guys don't score well in those. Hell, I mean, dude, I've crushed it in this business for 6-7 figure billing since I was 2 years old essentially. And I took one of those stupid tests. I should have been a librarian or a garbage man, I think it said.
Oh, wow, that's
a range. That is a range. Oh man.
No, Jay, what do you see about the assessments out there? Have you had any candidates that they're requesting them?
We don't see a ton right now. We're doing a lot of work in the healthcare space. Companies based out of Boston, so we're doing a lot of work with getting ramped up for COVID vaccinations and things like that in the healthcare space. So we don't see necessarily as much of that as we do the healthcare screenings. Making sure just like when you're working with schools, the TB tests and all that type of stuff. So we really haven't seen much of that.
It really depends on your field, like you said.
Yeah.
Sales guys, I think they're ineffective. There's other fields maybe they're a little bit more useful, and also depends on the size of the company, what type of test it is. Like I deal mainly with startups, and they read them wrong. I think, and then if you do like a Vista equity partner type company, everyone has to take these tests, and they literally. If you get a certain score, if you get 100%, they don't want you. If you get a 70%, depending on the role, they may actually want you. And then if you get too many, I had too many candidates that were doing too well in their tests, they're all getting above 80%, and they thought these guys were cheating, quite frankly. So then, this isn't just for me, but they make all their candidates, not just mine, all the candidates have to take the test twice, once on video to make sure you didn't cheat. So why would you want to work for a company like that?
Right.
Right. And those assessments where if you didn't pass it, you didn't get the right grade on it, I should say, you're out. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter if the CEO loved you. He could fight for you if he wants, but that's a rare thing they would do. I think if companies start relying on those assessments way too much.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? And I can see your point on that too. There's a lot of companies out there that put this strict assessment in, and they can't find one candidate. Maybe find one or two, and they're like, 8 months into it, we can't find anybody. Well, something has to give or take, right?
Right. Here's where I'm a fan of. Here's where I am a fan of assessments, because I agree 100%. As part of the hiring process, you take it or leave it. You can game the system a million different ways to make it work make it work. Right. I'm a big fan of assessments when we're talking about learning styles and working styles. Once I've hired a candidate, okay, how does this person process information so that I can make sure that as a manager or as an owner or as a leader of this company, that I can give this person information in a way that's going to make them be effective. But as a way of screening people out, I'm out.
Agreed. It's like doing a reference check. It's like, let me learn how to manage this person. Not is this person really good or bad? Give me some useful information. I'm like, if the reference is your deciding factor, then you're probably missing something in the interview usually.
Right.
But but how do we manage? How do we best use this person? And that's what assessments I think can be good for too.
Absolutely.
So, but again,
and if that candidate's not sharp enough to give me a good reference, like if they're going to hand me a bad reference on purpose, like you're not my guy.
I actually have one person in 25 years who actually gave me someone who was like, "Are you kidding me? This is they gave me as a reference." I'm like,
right. Don't ever use this person again.
They're like, you don't want to use me. But that was actually back when I was doing healthcare, like when I was first starting this job. So,
well, hey, I tell you what. Now we're going to talk some football here, big time. But I just want to tell everybody out there, as you can see in recruiting and staffing, the X and O's go together. I mean, so we're going to have some more talks about this in the future, but coaching is what it's all about in our industry. We're not recruiters. We're either job agents, like I call myself, or a coach, because you know what? Throw that recruiting thinking out the door. After you recruit them, you got to coach them, right? Till the end. Don't give up on coaching, man. And then you guys all will be rock stars. All right. It's fun time now. So big game today. I know we're all going to be watching it. So I'm just going to start it off here. I'm not going to tell you my prediction yet, but
Okay.
we got Tom versus Patrick. So in my eyes, it's going to be a heck of a game. You got two, the young guy and the guy that's the legend. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's just going to be an incredible game. And to have it here in Tampa Bay, I just think this is almost like a Cinderella, moment for Tom Brady here. But what do you guys think of the game? Give me some predictions and a breakdown.
I think it's going to be great.
There, Jamie.
Okay. So let me say this first.
Uh-oh.
I am no. This is good. I am amazed at Tom Brady because we're of similar age. We played college football at about the same time. So he's had another 20 years of football that I haven't had. And I know how my body feels from the football that I did play. So the fact that he's still doing this at this level at 43 years old, like, it blows my mind. Like, I'll be walking down the street and just have a pain somewhere in my body and feel like I'm about to die. And I'm going, how is this guy, like, willingly he goes out and still allows people, huge, fast, strong people to hit him. Like, I don't want to hit anybody.
Yeah.
I just, like, I want to go home. Here's my wallet. Like, I'm good. Like, don't touch me. Right. So I'm amazed by that. That being said, I think that this game is going to come down to, for Tampa Bay, they have to outscore them. You're not going to stop that offense. I don't care if Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Kelsey are playing. I really don't, and I'm a line guy. I don't care who's on the offensive line. They'll roll Mahomes out and still throw them. You're going to have to score them. So I think for me, Tampa Bay has to get to at least 34 points to have to be in this game. If they're anywhere under, if they're in the 20s, it's a wrap. Because
but what about Tampa Bay's defense, Jamie? Real quick, they're peaking the last 2 weeks. Look who, Rodgers and Breeze. I mean, come on. I mean, they shut them both pretty much down.
Hey, that's great. But you gave up 200 yards of Tyreek Hill in the first quarter last time you played. 200 yards in a quarter. So if you haven't come up with an answer for that, I mean, yet you can. I think they have the front seven to get pressure, but Patrick Mahomes is also the best quarterback in the league versus pressure. He hasn't thrown an interception against the blitz, and he's got like 17 or 18 touchdowns and like 140 or something QB rating versus blitzes. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really think you can stop that offense. I think your best bet is let's slow the game down a little bit, but every time we get the ball, if we're the Bucs, we got to score. And they can score. I mean, they've got weapons over there. They've got guys who can play. I think Fournette has to have a big game.
How about AB?
I think AB has to have a big game, but I think Mike Evans, this has to be a coming out party for him. Like, he's got to he can stretch the field, but I think he's got to fill that old Michael Irvin role from the Cowboys, like every big third long. He's got to be that guy. He's throw me the ball. You know what I mean? So I think if they can get to 34, it's going to be interesting. I think if they don't, it's going to be a problem.
What do you think, Rich? What do you think? I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Vaughn,
I think it's going to be too. I mean, the Chiefs are like a video game. I mean, every player is ridiculous, and I mean, but Brady always has a way to do it. After 20 years of watching Brady, he just finds a way.
Right.
And he lifted this whole team up. Like when they played the first half of the season, the Bucs were up and down. And then Brady just gets these guys so jazzed up and so so on target. I mean, like you said, he beat Breeze, he's beat Rodgers. I mean, Brady's physically not the best athlete on the field ever. But
even in his prime, he never.
Even in his prime,
no, not at all.
But the draft video, I mean, good Lord.
But the mindset,
exactly. But he knows how to get people going, and God, he just knows how to win and focus, and like you said, take those hits when he needs to. And he's just. I think he's on fire. I got to tell you, I think it's going to be an awesome game. I want Brady to win because I think the fact that this guy has been to 19% of all the Super Bowls, 10 in 20 years is it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. It's insane. I mean, that's insane. And Mahomes is amazing, and he is, he's just lights out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I got to tell you, I'm kind of torn. I'm picking the Bucs personally. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I want the Bucs to win. If that makes sense. I can't even come up with a realistic score, but I'm hoping the Bucs. So
he's going for the Bucs. Jamie, what about your prediction? Who are you going to go with, my man?
So I'm since we're just having a conversation because I as a policy, I don't
that everybody's going to hold you accountable.
Right. As a policy, right? And I'm not a gambler anyway, but I don't bet against Tom Brady. I just don't do it. But since we're having a conversation, we're not talking about gambling, just giving a prediction. I'm going to go 36-29 Chiefs.
Ooh, yeah. KC.
See, I'm like you. I'm like 34.
Andy Reid, a back-to-back championship, right? Ooh.
Yeah.
As a Patriots fan, you don't want that to happen again. That's another reason to go for Brady. Just to go for Brady. But Patriots will last to do back-to-back, and we don't want the Chiefs doing that.
See, but I'm you know what though, Rich? I'm not one of those like I love Brady. Like I don't hate on excellence. Like I love Michael Jordan because they won.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bill Russell. You know what I mean? Like I want to see the greatest perform, and you watch Brady perform over years, and it's just like you said, like every time the guy just comes in and delivers the mail every single time. So, I had Joe Montana as my number one quarterback ever for a long time.
Well, that 49ers team was ridiculous.
Well, and you look at what Joe did in 4 Super Bowls, 16 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Like the guy was amazing.
I mean, incredible. Pittsburgh boy.
So think about what Brady would have done in 20 years if he was like Manning, had a dome, had top flight receivers every year, top flight running back every year. Right. And his stats would have been, 3 times better than they are now. He was playing
in the blizzard, the cold, the wind. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, imagine what those stats would have looked like. I mean, that would have been insane. Or even just nice California weather, for Christ's sake,
Well, you just have to say it's amazing how he goes to a new team. And like it or not, I mean, he made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, how do you go to a new team? And all I can say is Brady's more than a player. He's a coach, too. I'm the assistant coach, too. Patrick, on the other hand, I tell you what, the boy's on fire. I mean, the way he throws that ball is like a baseball, isn't it? I mean, it's like, the man's skillful. I mean, he can do it all.
He is. I think the biggest thing, Rich, with Brady, when you talk about who he is culture, right? And I'm not talking about necessarily him coming from New England, but I really believe that him and Belichick collaborated to really create that culture. Like some people are like either or. I'm like, no, you got like there's so much that went on. There's so many players who played there. Like they all played a part. But certain players, certain players are most players are thermometers, but some players are thermostats. I think Brady is a thermostat. When he came down there, because really the makeup of the team is pretty much the same. You've got Brady, Gronk, and AB, but AB really just late in the season came on. Gronk started out rough because he was out of shape when he first got to town. So really, Brady was kind of the difference. And I think just the mindset that he brought to that team of, hey, I didn't come here to be a playoff team. Like, that's great that we're making the playoffs, but I came here to win a Super Bowl. I came here to be great. And so everybody in that organization kind of went, oh, we have to change our mindset. Like they were talking about when they won the NFC Championship game. And there was a guy in the locker room, and he's in there emotional, and he's crying. Brady comes in and goes, dude, what are you crying for? We didn't win anything. We got a game in 2 weeks. Like, that's the game. Cry after that. Right now, get your clothes off, get in the shower, and then start watching film for 2 weeks.
Well, you know what's funny, Jamie? It's funny you said that because he said in the conference this week that actually after today's game, tomorrow starts the new season. His mindset's already like, we want it. We'll do the parade if we win it. But you know what? I got to get ready for next season. And I think him taking pay cuts and stuff like that, that is a winning attitude that we don't see anymore in football or sports. It's all about the Benjamins and not the diehard love of the game. I mean, there's some out there, but he's one of them. It's a classic.
So you got to think that from a recruiting perspective, this is what I see recruiters too. They get all jazzed up because they closed the deal, and then they're like, "Great, I fucking killed it." And then a few weeks go by, they're like, "Oh, that deal was awesome. I still won that deal. It was great. I got whatever check in." And then the next month they blank. And then, oh my God, what's going on? And that's the thing. I mean, I think once you're in this business and you get a taste of the money, you're just like, you expect to win. And like Brady, you're pissed if you lose. And you need to you won the deal. Fantastic. Now win the next deal. Like
exactly.
All these newfound recruiters, they get too easily happy, too excited about the win. I'm like, well, dude, you expect to win. You should be pissed when you lose. Like, I don't remember all the wins, but those losses, man, I mean, I can tell you everything about them.
But you know what it is?
When you're a recruiter, you're expected to put people to work, right? You're expected. That's not a given. Yeah. I mean, people think like, oh, I put me to work, praise me now. No, that's part of your job for your commission, right? I mean,
right. But I think what happens, I mean, it's a really great point. You see this and it's the reason why a lot of athletes come out and have success in sales when they first come out of college, is because the people that you see that celebrate that one win, they don't really have a process. Mm-hmm. They just got to win, but they don't have the daily discipline. They're not embracing the process of, well, this is how I become successful. And the numbers matter, right? The sales matter, but really it's becoming ingrained in the process of, this is how I operate my desk every single day. Forget, did I make a sale or did I not make a sale today? If I have metrics that whether my company gave them to me or whether I have my own metrics, at the end of the day, did I move the needle forward doing what I was supposed to do? And if I do that enough days in a row, the sales are going to come.
You're right.
Just out of sheer work, because I've seen terrible recruiters and they're horrible on the phone and they have awful personalities. But man, they make 40 calls every single day. They do 5.
The broken clock type of theory, I mean, but
right.
One of the things I always tell people, it's like, I learned this when I first started at MRI, was, whenever you're done with your day, make one more phone call. That's an extra 5 calls a week, an extra 20 a month. So you basically you're giving yourself essentially an extra couple days a year, an extra week or two a year, by making an extra 20 calls a month, or an extra 240 calls essentially. Right. I mean, that's more probably phone calls than most recruiters make in a year, quite frankly. And
exactly.
You're getting all that extra time in, and I can tell you that extra call has resulted in tons of deals, money, candidates.
Right.
So,
right. And on the flip side of that, Rich, what did it really cost you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's it. That's when people complain about the phone. Like, I probably spend, like a Ring Central, so I spend about 5 hours of phone time every day at least. Give or take. I shouldn't say at least. Some a little bit more. Some days a little less. But generally right around that mark. Solid, hardcore on the phone, and it's like, you got one more call. It takes 10 seconds. If they're not there, okay, great. Who cares?
You're totally right. And that call at the end of the day is even to a client, possible client. They're home. They're a CEO or something sitting there. Everybody left for work, and you call like 5:10, 5:30. They pick up. You can have a good old chat, and guess what they're saying? Wow, you didn't leave the office like me. So now you already have something in common, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got
building that muscle.
I work all the time. I'm working today while we're on this podcast. I'm doing stuff. Quite frankly, the end of the day, I don't know. Maybe it matters to some, maybe it doesn't. I think it's pretty cool and impressive when you get back to a client on a Saturday or Sunday, because if they're working and you're working, like you said, some of them appreciate it, some of them don't give it a second thought. But you know what? Doesn't really matter. This is how I work. They say your work ethic. You're not like every other recruiter that's there from 9 to 3. You're actually putting the time and the energy in, and this is a career to you, not just a part-time job kind of thing.
Right.
You're exactly right. And today is Super Bowl Sunday. Recruiters, send an email or something out there. Some of your candidates today, they're on their phone today. Today's one of them days that everybody is on their phone. Don't bother them during the game, but right now, throw something out there. Even throw like a little football thing that gives you character, builds a relationship, and you're totally true. The weekends are incredible for recruiting. I always say 10 o'clock to noon on Saturday. You called 9 people, you're going to get 9 people on the phone usually, because they're getting ready for the day, but they'll take that call. It's amazing.
Hey, Rich, I got a challenge for your listeners, buddy. Right. So while you're sitting here watching the Super Bowl, right, you're going to be watching the game. There's going to be commercials that are going to come on. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. While those commercials are on, grab yourself a pack of envelopes and some thank you cards. Send out type 5 thank you cards over the course of the Super Bowl. Your last placement, the last candidate you placed, the top 4 hiring managers that you're looking to work with. Just write them a thank you card. Hey, just thank you for being open to having conversations with me over the last couple of weeks. I really look forward to building a stronger relationship with you over the rest of 2021. You will be more impressive than every recruiter in your space just by doing that today.
Exactly. There it is. Words from Jamie today. Reach out. Get out there and do something, recruiters, right? I mean, we're on a podcast today to spread the word, just have some fun. But you know what? Everybody should be doing some stuff on the weekends. I always say that. Recruiting is 24/7, guys, right? I mean, we're always recruiting. That's how it is. It's 2 a.m. It is what it is, right? You can't sleep.
Answering emails, yeah.
Have a cold one and go to work, right?
Love it.
All right, guys. So it's my prediction time. I'm so torn on both teams, but I'm going to tell you my prediction. I think Rich already knows it, but I'm going to show you who I'm going with. Love the person for maybe 1 year or maybe 20 years. It's my boy, Tom Brady. I'm a Brady boy from Pittsburgh. There it is right there. I'm the captain now. Remember that.
I love it.
But yeah, it's going to be a great game. Tommy, we're up there with you, man. Me and Rich are cheering for you. It's going to be a good game for anybody. This is a classic. You're never going to see another quarterback probably go 6, 7 Super Bowls, 10 Super Bowls again. So please watch it. Cheer them both on. Hopefully everything goes smooth. There's no trouble for the fans, and we just have a great game. And we're sitting in our couch eating pizza and beer and just enjoying it, right, guys?
Amen.
Absolutely. What's your score, though?
My score is going to be 41 to 37 TB.
Ooh, bar burner.
I'm going to say, hey, I'm from Pittsburgh. I've seen AB grow as a little kid to whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. He is going to have a breakout game. He's going to score 2 touchdowns to 3. I'm telling you.
There was a prop bet for AB. It was like 60 to 1.
All I can say with AB is, in prime time, like him or not, the man can catch the ball.
He loves when the lights are on.
You're right.
There was a prop bet. You can take 60 to 1 odds that AB will be the MVP. And they just if he gets 2 touchdowns, he'll be the MVP, they think.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to give you a hot take, Rich. This might be this could be the first year that you have in a long time an MVP on the losing team.
Yeah, it's a good prediction.
I think and my player to pick for that could be Leonard Fournette.
Really?
Ooh.
I think Fournette could have they could lose, but I think Fournette could have a monster.
Interesting. It's a bold prediction.
We'll see how it works out.
And guys, just look again. There he is.
Yeah, during my family
captain.
I don't know.
Right.
But you know what? It's going to be fun no matter what. I'm excited. This is one Super Bowl I'm excited for. We got a great halftime show coming up, and all that good stuff. So, hey, this is one of them days where you get your family, you enjoy yourself, razz your friends, make some bets out there, predictions, and just enjoy it. But, we're going to wrap things up here. Hey, guys, thanks a lot, man, for this pregame. We're going to do this next year, Jamie. This is an annual thing with the Staffing Shark. Rich, you're going to be on next year too, man. So I love it, man. But hey, you guys be safe out there. Enjoy the game. And everybody out there, remember, X and O's are in recruiting and staffing these days, guys. Remember that. If you guys ever need any help, reach out to all three of us. We're always here to help you guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, guys.
Really
Go
good.
Buccaneers.